Hey y'all, this is Connor, Kingdom Land Services, showing you we're starting a new job this Monday morning. Forgot to get the camera out prior to now, but only barely just started digging. Get up here and give you a quick tour on what this one's gonna look like. All right, so first order of business, we're gonna extend this culvert here, another 20-foot section of it. And this here, kind of from those trees around to here, is going to become a parking pad. So that there's a spot to turn around up here. And then what we're doing here in the back, the main point is the yard stays wet, water coming from down this hill. We're going to cut this hillside away, make a new embankment, about double the size of the yard area, and then put a drainage ditch at the new finished grade, catch all that water and take it off to that side. All the dirt from in here is going to come around to the front and be the fill for the parking pad. This existing culvert that we're tying on to has been there for about 1.5 years since the house was built. There's not much holding the soil together upstream from the culvert, so quite a bit has made its way down, and what we're doing here is just uncovering the end of it so we can actually hook on. Next, the machine is needed. We're going to come in and cut down to what initially visually appears to be the grade, what the fall needed. Do a quick little test fit. It's clearly not. Remove a little bit more dirt with the machine, bringing it down, more exaggerated. The other thing with the amount of material that's coming from upstream here, I wanted to have more than a couple degrees of fall over the distance. Coming in with another quick test fit and running down to the trailer because I forgot something, namely the laser. I'm certainly getting my steps in on this job. One handy feature of this M12 rotary laser is that it has a magnetic base. So here I'm just throwing it on the machine. I just need a reference. I'm not super worried about what the actual elevation is other than that I've got the amount of fall. I think I wound up with about 6 inches across. That's more than sufficient for what we need here. The culvert in the correct position. Now what remains is securing it in place. We're going to bed it in with some of the fill dirt on both sides so that when I'm dumping full bucket loads from the top as I build the parking pad, I don't disturb the location of the culvert. The customer did supply this culvert. They already had it on site. The intent was they were going to put it in before I started the job, but they ran out of time. So just as an additional, however long it took, I was putting it in. This is just time and materials anyhow. So that's the reason it is what it is. There's no tape or joint compound or anything. This starts as PVC further up and then transitions at some point to the double wall polyethylene underground, and that's what we put on here. Okay, let's speed this up. With that culvert installed, we can get started on the actual job now of taking the backyard, doubling the size, addressing the water drainage issues, etc. I think the culvert took about an hour to put in, so it's pretty much going to be the cheapest culvert anybody's ever gotten, considering they already had the material. Get ready to take notes here for some phenomenal camera work. Yeah, it took me this long to realize the camera was down below and couldn't see anything I was doing. With that, I'm gonna get some music going and let y'all enjoy the time lapse.
y'all. Day 2 of fixing this backyard. Quick little progress report from yesterday when we started. We've got about half the stumps removed. I just went ahead and took the fence down. We're going to pull those posts and reuse them. But about half the stumps removed. Still got this big one. I'm just cutting the path. This Mini X cannot lift it, so I'm just bringing the skid steer in and dragging them out that way. But we've got a fair amount of this larger section of the hill has been cut out and moved. I'll show you where that's been moved to. I'm gonna have to fix the driveway when we're done, obviously, but this got built out yesterday. It's fairly decently compact. We added this culvert yesterday morning. Homeowner's gonna get some larger, 3 to 6 inch just to bed this in once we're done, but I need to talk with the client here in a little bit and see if we want to extend this any further so we can round out this parking pad here, and we'll leave it compact and ready for a lift of some road base or whatever they wind up wanting to use to top it off. Okay, well, that was sudden. So that's going to call it for today, unfortunately. I was hoping to get a little bit more of this grade down where it's going to rain properly, but I really don't want to just rub this up real bad anyway. So I'm going to leave it as is. Let's get that back up Monday. All right, guys, we got Monday morning, freshly out in the sun after on and off rain that started Friday, kept going all weekend, but should be the last day. We only got a couple hours in on Friday, unfortunately, which is kind of thrown off the schedule for this week. But had some other stuff I was able to move around, so if we can get this done today. We've got more rain coming Wednesday, apparently, for the rest of the week, so probably wouldn't have got that one week-long job I had planned for this week done anyhow, which it's kind of how it goes in this world, this career field. But we'll get set up while the machines are warming up, give you a quick tour because I kind of scrambled out of here Friday, but started getting the drainage pathway here set up since I knew it was going to rain. We're getting down into the rock here, so it's taking a little bit longer, but there's a clue that it's still got some more work to be done. It's kind of high over there. There's a low spot here in the middle, and then it raises back up. So this all through here has to be dropped quite a bit. I'll break the edge here as well. And of course, all this detritus from the trees and the stumps, I've got to move it down. The homeowners requested a little bit more dirt be moved over there as well, so it doesn't feel too squishy at the moment. It seems to, aside from this spot right here, not held too much water. It's a little soft right through here where the rock ends, but I think we'll be okay. So I'm going to set you up for a time lapse from fixed position down there at the end, and we'll get started. this job, hopefully for real this time. The scope of this job has increased several times, which, you know, of course, we're happy to make adjustments as needed for what the client's looking to accomplish. So, you know, we added a few things that weren't initially part of the plan. Things like squaring up that backyard. So instead of 4 trees, we wound up taking out like 14 to 16 to make that happen. And then the culvert install, we went ahead and did that. And I'll talk to the homeowner. Looks like she's headed up. Anyway, the scope of the job increased several times. Instead of the 3 to 4 days that I initially thought it was going to take, yesterday made 5 days, well, 5.5, given the rain day. So just trying to get this last little bit wrapped up. What we've got remaining is just all the brush from the trees. Over here, there's a couple that, you know, got damaged that I need to take down. And then all of this. But the issue that we've been running into is over there where I smoked that carport on the first day. Is the only way to get stuff out and around, down all the way down there where the brush pile is. So I'm having to stop and cut them down, cut everything down to like 12 feet, which is taking forever. So what we're doing today is I talked with the homeowner last night, and I brought the mulcher, and I'm just going to mulch up all this stuff, make it into some nice ground cover. Of course, the stumps are not mulchable with all the dirt, but we'll get the trunks and the branches and all the limbs and all that stuff. So it'll also be nice to get some good ground cover up here. And then we're going to spread some gravel this afternoon. Spread some gravel on the parking pad, and then also, if it dries out enough, this issue here, I took that rock out. Well, I thought they had just put the rock on top of the soil. What they'd actually done, as it turns out, they'd cut a V-notch here. So in theory was correct, but it was draining down to here, and then it just wasn't continued. So the water would stop dammed up effectively right there. And I can't really get a machine the size of the machines I've got into there. So we're going to build this up a little bit, cut this away, so hopefully it drains down and takes the path out with everything else. But I'm going to get y'all set up for watching this mulching. We have reached the point of completion on this job. I've got some cleanup still to do, but give you the tour of the completed works. So parking pad's been gravelled. There's some piles of material for the homeowner to use for some other projects. We filled in over here around the septic tank. I've still got to spread that out a little more with the Mini X. Got some more material back here. Mulched up a bunch of the branches and whatnot from the trees. We've got our drainage path here, and then it'll go off down the hill. We've got an upslope going to the house, so it's not going to do anything there. I also had a last minute rethink on this. There was a old plan to try and drain that segment of the yard, and it just had a little dam built here, and I was able to get the bucket in and scoop that out. They'll neaten that up later. Cleared up the hillside and then the backyard. So that's a wrap on this one. We're gonna have like 5 days of rain just starting tomorrow, so we'll see how it does.